sure everything's working here. Pivotal usually need to load up. Yeah, we'll get this loaded here. Okay. Is this we got composite on. The problem is, do they have a winter radar on here? Conus, base reflectivity, height, echo top, hail, vertically integrated liquid, horizontal track. Did you tell me they don't have a winter weather composite on here? That's pretty crazy. No one's going to be using this over winter. No one's going to be using weatherwise over winter. That's crazy. What's going on, guys? Morgan. Any major cold snaps for the Northeast? Yeah, a little bit. We'll get into that in a second here. I'm going to let some people get in the stream and then we'll talk about it. Definitely. There'll be some more. I think against the rain in Wisconsin, yeah, quite a lot as well. I loved it today. I was working from home. It was cold and it was rainy. I was letting it. I like my office getting cold because I have so much computer equipment around me. It gets hot. We'll talk about when Texas gets a break from the heat. Yep. What's going on? Salim, Michael, Perp, Lisa. Hi from Door, Alabama. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, Tyler. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm gonna go fill up my glass with some Dr. Pepper real quick because I'm in a Dr. Pepper mood, and then we'll get started. How about that? That's what we'll do. You know, I haven't used in a while that I should really see if it has a good update. WSV3. I wonder if WSV3 has a good update right now. Okay, we're gonna go over a lot of stuff, yeah. Be right back. Let me fill my glass. This isn't gonna be a super long stream. I'm getting my butt absolutely handed to me at work this week. You know, I'm an underwriter and I have some really large accounts that I'm working on that I've been staying up all night and waking up very early in the morning to work on. So I'll be on 30 minutes and then I'm literally going to be up till 1 a.m. doing other work. But we're going to go over everything right now. I'll check for Saturday. Oh, you're Dr. Pepper lover? What's going on? I literally just said I have to get up and get some more Dr. Pepper. So give me a second and then we're going to go over everything. I swear, guys. What are the odds of that? That's crazy. All right, let me go get my D-Pep. Hey, Dr. Pepper lover, you still there? You think I was joking about this? You think I was joking about the Dr. Pepper? Which camera am I using? I have both cameras on. Oh, I have both cameras facing here. Whoa, guys, look at the quality difference. 1080p. Okay, guys, here's my 1080p camera, okay? Just so you understand how important expensive cameras are. 1080p, 4K. Which one looks better? 1080p, 4K. You know what I'm saying? But I got the cream soda Dr. Pepper, all right? I know. Someone said 1080p. What the heck? Get your eyes checked. Z Fox. All right, we're going to talk about everything weather. Everything weather. Temperatures coming up. My hair's a mess. Temperatures coming up. Snow. Severe weather. Tropics. You name it. We're going to be talking about it. Not going to be a very long stream, so pay attention. Because I got to get right back to work. Like I said, I got to get my butt kicked at work. I thought about not streaming tonight, but I promised you guys I'd get on for a little bit, so I have to abide by my promises. All right, Missy B, what's going on? 4K is immaculate, right? Like, look, I'm sorry, but look at the difference. When I first got this camera that I'm on right now, I was like, damn, this is high def. You can't even compare these two. It's crazy. All right, anyways, let's get started here. I'll turn down the music a little bit and let's get started. I'm gonna go through everything that's going on, temperatures across the country, severe weather that's coming up, tropics that's coming up, snow, my winter update, my fall update, how I think patterns are gonna change, everything, and then I'll take some questions and then we'll get off. Okay, but I'll be on 30-40 minutes. First, we're gonna start with what's going on around the country right now. Tons of rainfall. Minnesota, you'll be clearing up tonight. Wisconsin, you're going to be raining through the morning, very likely, out here through eastern Iowa. Chicago, you'll probably have a little bit of rain in the morning. We've got a big low pressure system. And I guess if I put on the satellite out here, you could actually probably see it a little bit better. Let's do this. Let's do shortwave. Water vapor, you can kind of see it. Whatever. Okay, here is our... Let's take the composite off. We got a big storm system out here. You can see it spinning. This is all snow in the high elevations, rain in the low elevations, and a lot of wind whipping through here. And we'll take a little bit deeper look at that in a second. The rest of the country is pretty quiet. That's mainly what's going on out there. Snow in Sierra Nevada, rainfall down in actual surface Nevada, and then we're gonna have snow moving into the mountains of Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, and Montana out in this region in the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's get into some stuff. Let's talk severe weather first. Severe weather that's coming up. Taking a look at, and then like I said, I'll get to answering all your questions. Mic sound okay? Everything sound good? Yeah, Saturday, we got to talk about Saturday. Cherry vanilla. No, this one's cream soda. You like cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper? I don't know if I've had cherry vanilla Dr. Pepper. Is that a real thing? Dr. Pepper, state drink of Texas. I believe that. I've actually heard that many times before. Yeah, I'll get to answer questions in a second. You're in Nevada? Decent rainfall out there. All right, let's just take a look at the latest. How far is our Rufus going to go out now? Ooh, I really want to see our 00Z Rufus. But let's take a look at the 18Z Rufus, just because the Rufus is pretty good at this stuff. First, we'll just take a look at precipitation moving forward, our regular reflectivity. Here we go. Our storm system out west is going to continue to move up into the northeast, and we're just going to get some snow, high elevations, rainfall, and low elevations, like I said, through Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah over the next 48 hours. Some good snow totals are going to be accumulating, though, up in the northern Rockies, and I'll show you how much soon. We are also going to get a lot of moisture being pushed back up through northern Minnesota and North and South Dakota. As this low pressure system, what's kind of happening here, guys, is we have a little troughing, low pressure, another low pressure out ahead of it. So all this air is being funneled up to the north. We have a high pressure here, so it's funneling all this moisture up into the northern plains and upper Midwest. This is over the next 48 hours. So all this right here over the next 48 hours. Now, as we get into Thursday, this is we could maybe see a little bit of a severe weather threat through eastern Colorado, western Kansas, Nebraska, and the Dakotas. We'll watch here because we're actually going to have a decent kind of, baroclinic zone setting up here, temperature pressure gradient setting up here, and we're going to have the possibility for some strong storms. And don't worry, guys, I'm going through everything, and I'm going to answer your questions. I'll try to be as quick as I can right here. And if we do take a look at this reflectivity out here, there it is. I mean, we got some supercells showing up on the Rufus. Not looking too intense, but we'll see. Sometimes you get some spin along these. So I would say Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening, we're going to want to watch the northern to central plains. Okay, and then that's going to move out, and most of our moisture is going to move out with it as we get into Friday, I believe. All right, here we go. We push into Friday, and we're looking pretty good through much of the country. But this right here is, this tail right here is about to get some moisture pulled up into it, and that's when we could get some Dixie Alley severe weather. So let's take a look at what the latest Euro thinks with our severe threat on. There it is. It's still pretty bulky. Afternoon, evening hours. Possible severe weather. I would say possible outbreak from Louisiana up through Indiana and the surrounding region. Right in there. Portions of Mississippi, Tennessee, and the Ohio Valley. And then that moisture is going to continue out east, and we could actually get a severe threat, including a tornado threat up and down the East Coast, including the Mid-Atlantic on Sunday night. So that's what's going on this week. Really quickly, if we wanted to take a look at our outlooks here, as I said, day one, we have a little bit of severe threat down there, but let's go into day two because that's tomorrow. A little bit of a severe threat, western North Dakota, eastern Wyoming, and then northwestern Nebraska there, and then a little marginal down here. I don't think we have a tornado threat with this. We don't. Just some hail and wind, small. Day three, we're looking at Thursday here. I actually want to see what our day four says. We're looking at Thursday here. I think they're going to expand this, potentially. I think we may end up getting a marginal out through here. Maybe a slight in here. I don't really think we're going to get a slight, though. But I think we're going to end up getting a expanded marginal, something like this. You know what I mean? I suspect it's going to be bigger than just western Kansas and eastern Colorado based on what the Rufus is saying. Rufus has done really good. It's done kind of the best this season. Day 5. We have a day 5 slight. This is going to be a day 4 slight tomorrow. Anything over a day 3 slight is not... Well, this was a day 6 slight, which is pretty rare. Enhanced is definitely on the table, and so is moderate. I'd say we're probably going to go enhanced. I don't know about moderate. So we need to watch this. This is what I'm talking about on Saturday. If you're in or around this region, make sure you're paying attention as we get more information on Saturday. All right, we're going to go talk about temperatures, but I wanted to show you one more thing here. Let's take a look at our updated... See if we look at our updated instability out there on Saturday. Okay, so our Cape values are actually starting to look a little bit more significant out here Saturday, especially portions of Missouri, Arkansas, and then northern Louisiana. I know the Cape values are high along the coast here, but I don't think we're going to have... I think we're going to have some inhibition, some issues with storm initiating down here because we don't really have a baroclinic boundary. That's going to be up farther to the north here. So right now it's looking like western Tennessee, southern Illinois, western Kentucky, central to southern Missouri, Arkansas. I think we could have... That's our highest chance for bad weather right now, but this is going to adapt. We could 100% see more instability and see this shift out here. So it's too far out to know, but that's just what I'm looking at right now. Okay. Tropics. Well, I'll do temperature first, and then again, almost done here, and we're going to get to all your questions. Let's take a look at our latest. Let's just go to our latest. We'll go to 12Z temperature anomalies. Actually, I'll go to the GFS temperature. Mercy Yali, appreciate you guys. Yep. Temperature anomaly here. 18Z. Here we go. Some cool air settling out east again. This is going to be pushing through tomorrow and Thursday. We'll begin to have that cold air settling in through portions of, we'll say eastern Kentucky, Ohio, Michigan, and then all the way out here, mid-Atlantic and New England. And of course, we've got this cold air settling in out here because of this storm system that's going to bring our severe threat slowly out to the east. Here we go. A little bit of a ridge building up in the central plains, but that should be moved out quickly. And then we have some more cold air shooting down in here through the Ohio Valley. Now, this is getting into the weekend. So Friday, here's Saturday, Sunday. So warm start to the weekend for many, but then as we get pushing to the end of the weekend, big cool down is expected for the Ohio Valley, Southeast, this whole region right here as we get to the end of the weekend. Getting into early next week, the Euros, they see something pretty similar here, but early next week, another warm up in the plains, more cold weather out east. We're seeing this kind of omega block pattern. So here we go. Or not, sorry, the opposite. Here we go. As we get into early next week, more heat through the plains. That heat's going to push out again. This is typical fall stuff. The thing I'm getting concerned about a little bit is, well, no. I mean, past here, early next week, again, this is just it's so typical of fall. Cold air isn't sticking around anywhere. Warm air isn't sticking around anywhere. You see it pushes out next week, and then we get some more interesting. This looks like a storm system pushing into the central plains, which is going to give you a cool down. Honestly, this is eventually going to lock up in a cool pattern. The models are consistently seeing this, by the way, at the end of October. Big cool down for the south, but this is eventually going to lock up, and we're going to see cold air stuck in here. The timing's a little weird. If we look at our 12Z, you can see it's seeing the same thing, just a super fall-like pattern. Heat, cold, heat, cold. I do want to zoom out really quickly, and I want to get to questions, so I'll do this quickly. I'll zoom out really quickly, and we're going to go to 500 millibar. To me, at the end of this run, okay, we're going to get wobbles in the jet stream, and the wobbles in the jet stream in fall is what brings us cold and hot, right? There's heat in here. This is hot because that's a ridge. This is cold because that's a trough. This is hot because that's a ridge. This is cold because that's a trough. This is classic fall. But with the weak La Nina we have set up, a warm NPO, and then that, like I said, very cold subpolar North Atlantic, eventually this jet is going to stop wobbling, and it's going to settle into a position where we're going to see more of a consistent cool down and a consistent below average temperatures from this weak La Nina. Now, we can see at the end of this run, is this kind of that first sign of our polar jet collapsing? You can see here. Look at this big collapse through the states. Is this when we stop seeing the hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold? We know that typically when you have warm Octobers, 80 to 90% of the time, I'd say 80% of the time, 8 out of 10 analogs, you're going to have a cold November and December. So we're having a pretty warm October. It's actually going to end up being somewhat average, but slightly above average. And with the weak La Nina pattern, a collapse of the jet stream you would expect to come at the end of October, early November. This is way out far at the end of the model run. Who knows about this? But this is kind of what I'm expecting to see at the end of October. A collapse like this to where you actually start to get a more consistent cool air below average temperature jet stream. Because, we're still expecting a very cold start to winter. So the end of fall, early winter, November through January. So I think it's interesting we're seeing that at the end of this run. And if we did take a little bit of a farther look out, we'll just go northern hemisphere and we take a look at our heights, what's going on at our heights, why are we seeing that collapse possibly. Here we go. Big anomaly trying to push up into the Arctic. So that's going to squeeze all this air out. That's going to force our jet stream to take a more southerly path and potentially hold there. All right, last thing, and then I'm answering questions. Latest GFS run. What do we see? Everyone's been talking about this Cat 5 that's going to make landfall in Miami, Florida. Well, I mean, the new run sees something similar, but too far out to be concerned, guys. We do see a strong, major hurricane, 290 hours out. I don't really care about that. That's too far out. I'm looking 200 hours out or less to see if there's any potential TCG, which there kind of is in the Caribbean. I'll tell you right now, the Caribbean's very favorable. Not a lot of dry air, no dry air, and a favorable wind shear environment, low wind shear environment. But here's the latest run. It does try to take a very powerful hurricane into Florida. Don't worry about where the tracking on this is yet, because we don't even know if we're actually going to get a system. So don't worry about the pathing. It's changed every model, but I do want to show you this. Our AI models, our GenCast and our FNV3 Google DeepMind models do see a system forming in here and moving up to the north. I believe this is the GenCast. And then if we do move into the Google DeepMind FNV3, we see something similar. We see this forming in the Caribbean as well. So I've been saying watch the Caribbean. Just to prove my point, here is our tropical cyclone formation intensification Favorable, neutral, unfavorable wind shear patterns out here. So green and yellow, you can have tropical systems forming in. And let's just take a look. Tropical Atlantic all the way up through the Western Atlantic. And look at the Caribbean. The Caribbean is primed. This is the Caribbean. It's primed for tropical development wind shear wise. And look at that. Not much dry air. A little pocket here, a little pocket here. But for the most part, the Caribbean is dry. So what does that mean? We get hurricanes all the time in October, early November, sometimes even late November. But our jet streams pulling up to the north. Our subtropical jet is weaker, less wind shear, lots of moisture. Let's watch the Caribbean. We could get a system trying to make a landfall in the Gulf or Southeast in a week or two. But too early for anyone to freak out, or it's too far out. We don't really know what's going to happen down there yet. All right. I'm done with that. Let's answer some questions. Enrique. You can get the cherry vanilla at a restaurant or at some gas stations. Ooh, true. Adding flavor sometimes. Dr. Pepper sells it too. Nice. Blackberry Dr. Pepper rocks. I don't even know if I've had that one. How do you think the jet stream will... Here, let's go over to... we'll get back down to the States and we can see this kind of warm, cold pattern that we have setting up here. For those of you who don't know, and I'm going to keep this up for a second while I'm answering questions. Just so you know how to... This is our 500 millibar jet stream, okay? Just so you understand when I'm answering some of these questions. Why are we always looking at the 500 millibar jet stream? Not always. When I look at severe weather, I look at the 850 millibar. Down at the surface, we're at around 1,000 millibars of pressure down at the surface. Okay? The top of the troposphere, and the troposphere is where pretty much all of our weather happens on planet Earth. The majority of it, some of it pushes into the stratosphere. But the top of our troposphere is 100 millibars. So what's between 1,000 and 100? Around 500. It's, it's not exactly that. It's, you know what I mean? But around 500. So that is where our jet stream is. That's where the winds that kind of move these air boundaries throughout the world, that's where they sit. That's what kind of controls a lot of our weather patterns. So here's halfway above our heads in the troposphere. This is our jet stream. When you see our jet stream dip down like this, it's typically allowing cold air from the north to collapse into it. And when you see our jet stream pushing up like this, we call this a ridge, and that's allowing warm air and moisture from the south. Not really moisture, because you're typically going to have your moisture on the leading edge of a trough. But this is typically going to be much hotter because you have warm air from the south that's going to be settling in here. Definitely rising air on the front end of a trough, which means storms, and sinking air in here. This would be a high pressure, so you're not going to get the storminess in here or behind the trough in here. So when I look at something like this, and I'm looking, we don't need to look at, I don't need to look at above average or below average. I can look at right here and say, all right, well, we probably have around this time frame out here. We're looking at Sunday the 18th. We probably have some cold air sinking into the Midwest with a little bit of storminess along the front boundary here. And we probably have some warm air being cycled back into the plains. That's an easy way to look at it. If I were to go to anomaly, you can see kind of the warm air pushing in here and then some cold air sinking into here. Now, this isn't really there it is. You can see the cold air out where that trough centering and the warm air out where that ridge is going through. So, and where the warm and cold meets is typically where you can have that baroclinic zone and you can get some bad weather. It's just an easy way. The jet stream 500 millibar map's an easy way to read what's going on and what could happen. Will there be any severe weather in Ohio from this? Yeah, potentially. Yeah, we can take another look at how the severe weather's setting up. For sure. We can do that. How does Friday look for Oklahoma? Yeah, let's go back to our Rufus. Our 00Z is loading. It's not loaded out till Friday yet. So we'll go back to our 18Z00Z. And let's take a look. Ooh, this is actually interesting. This is actually interesting because the 18Z... Let's look at Friday for Oklahoma. Friday's looking pretty dry. Pretty dry for Oklahoma. Not too bad. Not much of a severe weather threat. I do want to look on the Rufus severe weather plains. What's our Cape doing? Do we have any surface-based Cape on Thursday out through this region? See, we do. We do, and we have that, and we know we're gonna have some sort of convection. This isn't a ton of CAPE, but all you need is about 800 to 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. So I do think they're gonna extend this marginal a little bit on Thursday, but it's not looking too ominous to me, if I'm being honest. It's not looking that ominous. Let's look if we have any SIG-TOR through there. A tiny bit of SIG-TOR. Tiny bit of SIG-TOR, which is why they're probably, you can see why, I can almost see exactly why they're highlighting this region right here as their marginal. Because look at the SIG-TOR. Okay, you see that? Look at where that is. And then now let's look at where they labeled that threat on day 3. Same exact spot. They're looking at the Rufus SIG-TOR map. That's what it looks like they're basing it off of. We're going to see things change, though. That could get enhanced or not enhanced. What about Sunday? Oh, I did want to do my kind of winter outlook here and stuff like that, too. But we can go over that in a second. What about Sunday for Georgia? Sure, let's take a look at what our latest Euro is showing Sunday for Georgia. Look at 18Z. What's going on out there? Sunday, precipitation-wise, yeah, it looks like it's going to be a rainy one. At least right now, the timing of these events can change. Sunday right now looks pretty wet for Georgia. Again, this storm system could slow down. That could end up moving in Monday. It could speed up. That could end up moving in Saturday. Right now, it's looking like Sunday. That's not too far out, too. The Euro should do a pretty good job at that timing. So I think Sunday could be a wet one out there. Yeah, but you can see as that moisture moves in Sunday, potentially Sunday afternoon, you get a big cool down from that moisture and that kind of troughing that's pushing in. So you may end up getting back down to average or slightly below average temperatures on Sunday in Georgia, but it's going to be cold. Or, sorry, but it's going to be wet. Missy Ann, appreciate you. Pennsylvania on Sunday, any severe weather? Yeah, so I was looking at that too. This is interesting. I think we were talking about that. Was it Saturday? Yeah. I think it's Sunday. I'm looking at Sunday. I'm looking at Sunday right now for severe weather in PA, potentially. We could definitely have something here. Now, tomorrow's a big day because tomorrow evening we'll get the first sign of what our Rufus and our short-range models are seeing for severe weather for our Dixie Alley event. And then Thursday evening we'll get a look at potentially what's going on here Sunday. Because our short ranges do much better at you know, our short ranges do much better at the severe weather stuff. Arkansas Saturday. Yep. We've been talking about that. You're in a slight risk. Pay attention to these updates because this is your Saturday risk zone. Arkansas is right in the middle. Hold up. Yeah, here in the center, that slight risk in Arkansas Saturday, so you could even go enhanced. I'd pay attention closely to that. But like I said, tomorrow evening, we'll have our short-range models that'll be able to give us a much deeper dive. By the way, do you guys see what's going on my little side screen there? If you're on TikTok, you can turn your phone sideways. We got another gigantic low-pressure system moving into Alaska down there. So that's not great timing with all the destruction we have right there right now. But, yeah, this is what's going on. This is what's going on out there currently in Alaska. Let's let this load again. See, the thing is, these are pretty common out in Alaska. These big low pressure systems, you've got the biggest ocean in the world, and you have that circulation off the equatorial Pacific that pulls these up, you know, the China coast and then shoots them off up towards northern Russia and Alaska. But that system the other day was a post-tropical typhoon or post-tropical cyclone, so it packed a little bit bigger of a punch, and I think many people didn't expect it, because you see these a pretty decent amount up here in Alaska. Is this a post-tropical cyclone as well? Are you sure this one was... I actually... Leanne Cantori. Is this off of a... Is this off of a cyclone? Is this off of an actual typhoon? It may be. But we're going to see a lot of storm systems like this. We're going to see a lot of storm systems like this this winter. With that warm NPO, you're going to have a more active storm track out here. And these will probably end up kind of coming up towards Alaska and then curling down towards the states, bringing that moisture in. Yeah, they've had an active... It's an active week up there in Alaska. Let me answer some questions. They say something is in the Caribbean. Is that true? Nothing's in... No. Nothing's in the Caribbean. If you were to, 200 to 300 hours out, models see the potential for something in the Caribbean. So we're watching it. We know that the Caribbean has a lot of, not a lot of dry air in it. It doesn't have a ton of wind shear. It's a very favorable environment for development currently. It's a very favorable environment for development. Very warm waters. So could we get development in the Caribbean in let's say 7 to 10 days? Yes, definitely. But there's nothing there now. No. So if someone is telling you there's something there, don't listen to them. There's a chance that we get nothing there at all. But again, it's a favorable environment. Look at the CBC tropical outlook. Well, here. You mean the... Let's do... We want to look at the hazard. Tropical hazard outlook. Here you go. Yeah, look at the Caribbean right here. This is probably what you're talking about. Look at our Caribbean here. From the CPC. So yeah, they're giving this a pretty high chance of development. Doesn't mean it's gonna develop, but we've been talking about this for a while. Caribbean's looking like a hotbed. Luckily, it looks like we're gonna get, and I was talking to Matt about this earlier, Mezzo Matt. Looks like we're gonna get a lot of sinking air out in the Arctic and out in the Atlantic as we get to the beginning of November. So it could be an early end to hurricane season. But this last couple weeks of October, first few days of November, may try to push something into the states that's pretty powerful. So something to watch out for. But there's nothing there yet, so no need to panic. Is Florida getting hit? If you believe this model, yeah, maybe with the Cat 5 right into Miami. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's too far out. We don't know. It's too far out. No one knows. How could someone tell you that Florida's going to get hit by anything when we don't even have a storm system that's formed? People were where's the model run everyone's been fear mongering with? Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. Yeah, like a Cat 3, Cat 4 right into Florida. Yeah, that okay. If you just go through these runs, they keep changing. Watch. This one puts something into the Yucatan Peninsula, puts nothing into Florida. See, they keep changing. So we need more time. It's too far out. We want to get within like 180 to 160 hours to have a better idea of what could possibly happen. But I would say chances for development in the Caribbean, tropical development in the Caribbean are high. But there's a chance we develop and move out to sea. We develop and move through the Yucatan or through central. We don't know for sure yet. So we have to get closer. Just a little Cat 5 in Miami. Yeah, I see you, Tufts. Yeah, don't worry about it. We don't know what's gonna happen there yet. We do not know. Let's see here. Are there any below freezing temps for the Ohio Valley coming soon? This is a pretty major trough, and I've been talking about our polar jet finally collapsing. If this were to move out here, this would be at the end of October. These would be freezing temperatures. But right now, I mean, this is pretty cold out here. Let's see what our apparent temperatures would be in this situation in the Ohio Valley. Yeah, I mean, you've got Ohio getting down to kind of feels like into the 30s, 36, 37 here. Widespread 30 feels like this would be out next Wednesday. So yeah, and then there you go. We've got feels like temperatures though, but we're talking about, you can see some in here getting down to 34. degrees. Now, what's our actual temp there? In the 30s. Mid to low 30s. I would say mid 30s. For some people out here in Ohio next week. Too far out to know if that's going to remain consistent. We could actually see it even colder than that. Or it could be a little bit warmer. But again, I've been talking about this. We're still getting that push and pull of fall, right? Look, above average, below average. Above average, below average. Above average, below average. It's just back and forth. And then a big heat wave that it wants to throw in here before a potential big cool down again at the end of October. We need to wait for our jet stream to finally settle in. I forget what I saw the other day, guys. They were talking about it. They said, I was watching it. It was a video. Or no, what was it? I saw the analogs that showed it was like 80% of the time when you have a warm October, you have a very cold November and December, which makes perfect sense to me because a warm October, especially for the States, eventually that warm air is going to get displaced. So, and you can have, and if you have a big ridge over the States, you're going to get some disruption on our side of the polar vortex as well. So that's why, I mean, the Earth does a good job at balancing itself out. Here, I'll deal with that. Okay, blocked. Did I block him? Okay. I should have. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that. Our climate has a good way of balancing itself out. Typically, if you're too warm for too long, that's gonna end up being replaced with very, very cold air. If we go back out and we zoom out here, we can go to northern hemisphere. As you get a big warm buildup, if we're warm in the States, we're gonna have some troughing out here to the east. We're probably gonna have we're gonna have some troughing out to the east and west of us, and we're probably gonna have some very cold air displaced up here on the other sides of the planet. It's not gonna be stuck there. The pattern's gonna fix itself. So to me, it makes sense. I would say it's typical like that. I would say if you have a very warm September, you probably have a colder October, November. So I don't think that's that. It's not that complicated. There is a lot of heat anomalies though that I'm consistently seeing up in the Arctic through October, and that's another sign of a cold November because the higher heights you have, the more heat you have building up in the Arctic. That's weakening that polar vortex, that jet stream that circles the Arctic, and that's when you get those wobbles and that collapsing jet, which will settle in. Let's take let's go out and let's take a seasonal look again. I never really got into some updated winter stuff. Here we go. Here's what's expected from the Canadian, which has done very good in recent years. Looking on our month-to-month forecast, our Canadian's thinking, and it's looking like our jet stream is going to want to set up something like this, right? You can imagine sinking air or cold air sinking into here and maybe some ridging out west. So this is still kind of our outlook for November. Pretty cool temperatures, potentially northern plains down through the Ohio Valley, maybe even all the way down to the central plains, southeast, and then up the coast. We'll see, and then it wants to hold a lot of that cold air up to the north. This is typical, though, La Nina. I think that this cool air would actually be settled in a little bit farther down to the south. I was talking about this yesterday. Taking a look at our updated CFS seasonal. Take a look at the November projection temperature anomaly from this is actually new from the CFS as well. Big cold anomaly for November. You could get snow out here if we had these type of cold anomalies. You could get snow into the Ohio Valley and Central Plains if we had this type of cold anomaly through November. And then moving into December, still has that this is, like I said with the Canadian, how I said I thought it'd be a little bit farther down to the south. The CFS makes sense to me based on all the other parameters and what's going on in our climate right now in the atmosphere. This would be a very, very cold November, December. And we push out towards January. It tries to warm up a little bit. We'll see about that. And then it's possible. European seasonal. Now, the Euro doesn't see cool downs. It just doesn't. It just looks at things. The Euro always overestimates heat. So, like, even if you were to see something like this would actually, I'd expect that to be a cooler trend from the Euro. And the Euro has consistently seen a cooler January and February, which is interesting as well. Let's see. I did want to look at European weekly teleconnections here. Do we still see this massive P&A down over here at the end of... Wow, that really... Wow, this... What is this? The model's doing something crazy out there. Let's take a look. European deterministic. Arctic oscillation staying pretty steady. WPO, very positive. This right here... Well, okay, yeah, this... Because they're seeing a big heat wave at the end of October here, on the Euro at least. GFS deterministic is actually seeing the opposite. GFS is seeing a big... This would be a big cool down for the States. So the Euro and GFS, once you get about 10 days out, they're not agreeing. They're actually seeing the complete opposite. Arctic oscillation, though, they're agreeing on. So no big polar vortex break is expected here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Do we have an agreement on our NAO at least? Let's see, the Euro deterministic, GFS deterministic. Yeah, they're agreeing on the NAO. No major blocking setting up yet. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer on this pattern. On this cool pattern. But again, Canadian CFS really see a cold November, cold December still. Let me try to show you one more cool thing in here, guys. Let me look at the chat real quick. How do you think the jet stream will set up for winter with all of the climate factors lining up? Oh yeah, well I guess I kind of just explained that. Let me show you some of these new pictures that have been put up here in there's only some of this that I can actually show on stream. So I don't want to. Yeah, look at this. This is the big heat up that the Euro's seeing at the end of October, before potentially what would be a very big cool down. Let's see here. Sorry, there was something I was looking at on here earlier that I wanted to show you guys. This is very interesting. I've already showed you guys this multiple times, but this is our Arctic sea ice, and our Arctic sea ice. Check it out. This is 2012. Look how much more ice we have from 2012. Look at that. Big increase in Arctic sea ice. More Arctic sea ice typically means more cold air transfer down, colder winters for us. It's quite a jump there. Quite a jump there in Arctic sea ice. So we've had a big return to ice over the last 13 years, which is good. There was something else on here that I saw, but I think... Yeah, this is the 46-day. I could actually show you this on Weatherbell real quick. Our snow forecast from the Euro. It's interesting to look at. If we go to our European ensemble, just to see how aggressive it wants to get moving forward with snow. Where were we? Let's do this. European weeklies. Here's our 46-day snow projection from the Euro. Again, do we think there's going to be snow everywhere here? No, but it does show we're seeing a colder pattern ahead. Again, this is 46 days out. If I were to look at this 2 weeks out, it probably shows very little snow except for the west. I think this all starts kicking in the second week of November, very likely. 32-day snow outlook. See, this one pulled back with the 46 days, pretty significant. If we look at the GFS as well, 35-day snow outlook, you can see some of the pockets. It really wants to hit up here, potentially through here. The Rockies are always going to get it. They get early season snow because of the elevation out there. I did want to look at one more thing here. Ice. I've shown you guys this a lot. Ice and snow up here. Still looking very good. We're not going to get warm enough temperatures for this to melt. I mean, maybe here and there. But we have this ice basically connecting with Russia. So that's pretty good. Very close to getting this sealed off in here just above Alaska. So once you get that kind of land bridge, that's a good cold air transfer through here. And that'll help our winter if you want a cold winter. Last thing, where was it? JMA. What is the JMA going to give me here? We can take a look at our stratosphere. JMA. Let's go up to the northern hemisphere and let's take a look at this. Look at this. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you what we're looking at. Yeah, this is a suggestion again. You can see this is, guys, when we talk about the polar vortex, it's really We have a tropospheric polar vortex, but it's really the stratospheric polar vortex that if that begins to collapse, like that's the thing that, what year was it? 2019 or something, where Texas said like temperatures 50 degrees below average and you have that big horrible winter storm. This is the type you want. The stratospheric polar vortex is what collapsed. What makes a stratospheric polar vortex collapse is higher height anomalies, just like this is this. Higher height anomalies sticking up in the polar region for too long, warm air sticking up in the polar region for too long. This right here is probably, if I'm guessing, what our Canadian and CFS seasonal models are looking at and why they're projecting such a cold November and December, because they're saying as we move forward in time, this isn't just going to break right away, the polar vortex. This is going to slowly get more and more unstable over the next few weeks and then snap. And I think they're just expecting a very, very slow polar vortex or polar jet because of that. And so they're expecting our polar jet to settle in pretty far to the south. So that's why they're seeing these very cold anomalies for a lot of portions of the plains, Ohio Valley, Southeast, Mid-Atlantic, and we'll have to see how far out west it goes, and New England. This type of anomaly is very destabilizing for our polar vortex. And it's holding for quite a while. I'm out here October 22nd, and we've still got high heights out here. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm guessing why, like I said, if I'm guessing why the CFS is being so aggressive, taking a look at our seasonal temperature, like this December and November, December, with this big collapse of cold air in this region, it probably has to do with that buildup, with those higher heights up in the Arctic region right now. Natada, unicorns, Jasmine, Gemini, butterfly. I appreciate you guys. What's my winter outlook? Well, I've already put it up. Honestly, this is a good map to show you my winter outlook on. I do expect more mild. I would actually be more like this. I would expect more mild and dry conditions through that region. But that's as a whole. I'm talking December, January, February. I think we could get very, very cold polar vortex outbreaks that put freezing air into southern Texas and potentially even try to push it down in the central to southern Florida. I'm just saying as a whole, as an average, I'd expect it to be a little bit drier, more mild down there. Because last year we didn't have crazy cold anomalies along the Gulf Coast, but we got 12 inches of snow down there, didn't we? So you could have a above average temperature-wise season and still get good, have a chance for snow and stuff. But as a whole, I think you're more likely to be more mild and a little bit drier. Next year, we might be in an El Nino winter, and that's going to be your good southern. This area that I'm circling, it flips. It does much better in El Nino if you like winter-like conditions. I do think snow-wise, Great Lake region, inner New England's going to do pretty good in the Ohio Valley. I would say probably the Ohio Valley and Great Lake region is going to do the best, and then upper Midwest could do good, could not do good. I'm concerned about upper Midwest, how much snow we're going to get. Minnesota, northern Wisconsin, and then like North and South Dakota, because I think it's going to be so brutally cold, such a below average winter, that's when you get cold core high setups where it gets too high or it gets too cold and to have that rising air. So, but I do think Northern Rockies will do good. Northern Rockies, with snow. Northern Rockies, Great Lake region, portions of the Ohio Valley, down through the Tennessee Valley as well. So, but as I said earlier, or as I said in my stream the other day, we haven't had a major nor'easter in a while. And can anyone remember why I think we're going to have one or maybe two major nor'easters that could put everyone along the coast above their averages for snow this year for the first time in like 5-6 years? What do I think is going to trigger that? When will Florida be hot with? Florida's going to get a little bit of a cool down here. A little bit of a cool down. Actually gets a little cool this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Some cooler anomalies in Florida. Not that cold, but a little cooler than normal. Here's what we think. Oh, I got to get off. This was supposed to be quick. Climate reanalyzer. Daily sea surface temperatures. Let's take a look at our subpolar North Atlantic again. Here's where it is this year. Can you guys see this? Here's where it is this year. Here's where it was last year at this time. Look out how much hotter. This is this year, the bottom. This is last year. Okay. Or look at how much colder this is. What region are we talking about? Why can't I zoom over? There you go. We're talking about this region right here. Subpolar North Atlantic SST anomaly. The colder this is, the steeper or the more significant baroclinic zone you have forming between the subpolar North Atlantic Sea and the North American landmass. That right there is what helps set up blocking out here. And we call that a negative NAO. That can juice up our jet stream as well, and that can give us a more active storm pattern up along the East Coast. A negative NAO is what you want if you're looking for a nor'easter, and we could have a significant, we could have a stretch sometime in the winter where we have a negative NAO sticking around for 2 or 3 weeks, or at least trying to stick around 2 or 3 weeks, which would give us an abundance of opportunities for a nor'easter. So I'm not expecting a ton of snowstorms out east, but I'm still expecting a lot of these people to see above average snow, if not good snow, along the coast, because I'm confident we'll get at least one nor'easter. We'll see if we get 2, but this is kind of a, yeah, this anomaly. This is one of our steepest sea or ocean temperature anomalies we have on planet Earth right now. So, okay. Have I talked about the upcoming severe weather? I did. I got to get off. I'll go over that again. Let's, okay, European. Listen, once we get into our short range models tomorrow night and into Thursday morning, we'll have a good idea about this severe weather. We still see a severe setup for Saturday. Potentially all the way from eastern Texas, northeastern Texas, through northern Louisiana, up through Arkansas, western Mississippi, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, up through portions of Indiana, central to southern Illinois, and central to southern Missouri. I'd say right through this region. We still see that potential. I'm seeing a little bit more. I guess I'll push over to it real quick. I'm seeing a little bit more right, but this is going to change. I don't even want to show you this early, but I'll show you anyways. We're seeing a lot more instability a lot farther west than before. Well, this is where we've kind of been seeing more of it. But there's going to be a little bit of inhibition down here, so I'm kind of canceling this out. So northeastern Texas, northern Louisiana, Arkansas, central to southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma, western Mississippi, western Tennessee, maybe a little bit of western Kentucky, southern Illinois. Right now looks like the target for the severe weather. Once we get into our short range models, like I said, tomorrow evening or tomorrow night, and then into Thursday morning. Tomorrow night, I think we're going to be able to, the Rufus is going to give us a good look at this. Because the big question on this is timing. Is our moisture there? Is our instability in that lift present as our low-level 850 millibar jet shears through this region? Because that's what's going to give us a severe outbreak. We're everything is there. Is it going to be there at the same time, or is it going to be a few hours off? Because that's how you get a bust on a severe weather event. People are like, hey, you said it was going to be severe, and something's like 2 hours late, so the severe weather doesn't happen. One of the severe parameters. But it's still looking like Dixie Alley's going to have some issues for sure. And I'm also watching the Central Plains. This is going to be for Thursday, so we'll see what's going on here. Is Utah going to get any rain? So, that's the last thing I'll talk about here. Let me go to. I'll take a look at our. I like. All right, let's take a look at our. Here, we'll do this. Regions, Rockies, winter, total Kuchera. Here's our snowfall. Expected snowfall over the next. Oops, let's go to 00Z. Expected snowfall over the next 48 hours. Some good snowfall through portions of eastern Nevada, Utah, central to western Wyoming, southern Montana, and then central to eastern Idaho. If we were to just go right into, if we were to go right into Utah, you know, this is high elevation snow. Am I expecting snow on the ground in Salt Lake City? Probably not. But snow at the ski resorts, yes. Maybe an okay amount of snow at the ski resorts as well. 6 inches, 8 inches, maybe a foot in some places. I forgot, but is northeastern Alabama going to have storms? Northeastern Alabama could see some storminess as we get into Saturday or Sunday. If we take a look at this. Moving into Sunday, yeah, you got some Sunday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning, and then Sunday afternoon. We got some potentially strong storms, potentially even severe storms moving down through the southeast here. Guys, I got to get off because I got a ton of work to get done. I'm going to be up for another 3 hours doing work for my other job. I'm going to get up in the morning, and I got so much to freaking do. Guys, I post updates every day on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, X, Discord. Join my Discord, Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Just send me a friend request. I'll add you. You'll become part of the climate crew. It has all the weather updates you need, and an awesome weather crew in there and weather enthusiasts. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. If you have a Discord, just add me and I'll add you in the Discord. We're trying to really grow that. I typically stream 5 days a week, every day except for Wednesday and Saturday. I've been super busy lately, so it's a little bit on and off, but that's where I'm trying to be on. If I'm available, I'm going to be on those days. So every day but Wednesday and Saturday. If there's a major weather event happening on a Wednesday or Saturday, you can bet I'm going to try to be on for that. I'm just saying if there's not like a major weather event happening, those are usually my days off. But yeah, updates every morning. So, but I appreciate you guys, mods. You're awesome. And tomorrow's Wednesday, so I wasn't gonna get on. We'll see how it is. I'll probably take the day off tomorrow, but I'm still gonna be posting a video tomorrow. I'm posting updates. That's right, the best little community. We're trying to make it the best big community though. Discord servers, Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Add me as a friend on Discord. I'll invite you to the Discord, and you'll know what we're talking about. It's an awesome weather Discord. Everything you need to know. Go through all the tabs. Everything you need to know. Everything's updated daily. Hourly. On the second for all the stuff that's attached to the National Weather Service. Here, look at the top, Elijah. It's pinned. Just Connor's Climate Corner HQ. Connor's Climate Corner HQ. The link's in my TikTok as well, on my TikTok page. You can go to my top of my TikTok page right there. All right. I appreciate all of you, and I will see you maybe tomorrow. I guess we'll see, but definitely Thursday. But you know, I'll be posting tomorrow, and I'll be in the Discord tomorrow. You guys are awesome. Thank you, mods. Peace.